Hello Dragon Wisps, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be covering the Sorcerer and Wizard of the 3.5 edition Dungeons & Dragons, which will finish off our class tutorials for the basic classes. Like I said, once I'm done going through everything you need to get started, I'll go into more advanced classes and races and everything, but we'll get to that part when the time comes. So, as always, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to become a Dragon Wisp. And if you'd like to support the channel more directly, you can do so at the Patreon or shop links in the description below. So, without any further ado, sit back, relax, and let's make a sorcerer or a wizard. Alright, so first I'm going to go through a couple of the similarities between them. As you know, we're doing first level Sorcerer and Wizard. The two classes themselves are very similar. They just have a couple of differences. So first we'll cover their first level basics. So Sorcerer and Wizard both have a +0 to base attack bonus, fortitude, and reflex saves. But they both also get a +2 to will saves, which is a good portion of their similarities. The other real similarity is they both gain the ability to summon a familiar, which will be explained after. Let's see if I'm correct. Their hit dice are also the same, but I'm just going to quickly double check that. Yep. Alright, so they're both 1d4 for hit points, so you're not getting a lot of hit points from them, but it's not the end of the world, because if you build your... I'm just going to use spell user from here on. If you use your spell user properly, you'll never have to worry about getting hit on the front line or anything, because everybody knows that your wizards or your sorcerers, you stay in the back or the middle, depending on how the back of the combat is set up. I believe their skill points are also the same. Yes, so they both get 2 plus their intelligence modifier for skill points, except at level 1 where they get 4 times that amount. Alright. Now to get into the differences. So now we're moving over to the sorcerer stats first. Alright. First and foremost, your spells per day, which is the whole reason behind being a spellcaster. Sorcerers get 5 0-level spells or cantrips and 3 first-level spells. Can obviously be more powerful than the cantrips, but we'll get into spells and details on those later on. Like I said, they do get to summon their familiar, which is great. And the ability scores you want to focus on for a sorcerer are charisma, because that affects your sorcerer's spells, how many you can cast per day, how hard they are to resist, like things like that. And then you want higher dexterity because you're not wearing armor, and constitution because you're not wearing armor, and you get a d4 for your hit points. So, higher constitution, more hit points, more taking a hit, less sorcerer being killed in the first 5 minutes of the game. And then there's skills. Skills for the sorcerer are bluff, concentration, craft, knowledge arcana, profession, and spellcraft. So they don't get many many skills to work with. I believe the wizard ends up with more because they're more of a they're more of an academic class than the sorcerer. Sorcerers are like natural spellcasting ability. Wizards have to study. And your sorcerer knows 4 cantrips or 0 level spells and 2 first level spells. Of course, I believe we've gone. No, we didn't go through that when we were going through during the ability video. I forgot to go through with like how many bonus spells you get based on your ability score. So I'm going to cover that again in this spells video, or first of the spell videos, because there are probably going to be quite a bit. Your weapon and armor proficiency. Sorcerers are proficient with all simple weapons, but no armor or shields, because you require somatic components for your spells, and armor has an arcane spell failure chance because it's preventing you from having free range of motion. Now there are feats that can be taken to change these things, but we'll move on past that later. And preparing spells for a sorcerer is simply a matter of, I know the spell, I can use the spell, which is great for a wizard or for a sorcerer. It comes in handy sometimes too. It comes in handy obviously because sometimes you can't prepare ahead of time for the situation. Let's say you've got fire and electricity spells, and ice spells, like in your repertoire. But like, let's say you're a wizard and you prepare the fire spell ahead of time and you go up against a bunch of fire elementals. Well, now kind of screwed. Which honestly, in most situations, you should know what you should be expecting elemental wise. Like, you're not going to go into a volcano and think you're going to fight a bunch of ice elementals, for example. Stuff like that. I'm going to cover familiars in a different video as well, because that I feel requires more detail, and obviously we don't want these videos to be running long, right? Alright, so that's your sorcerer. Now let's move on to the wizard. As well as a summon familiar ability, wizards can also scribe scrolls. So basically they can copy spells onto scrolls to use later. So it comes in real handy if you just want to have more spells ready to go. They can give the rogue a scroll of fireball, for example. Like, it comes in handy if you want to, like, let's say, give the rogue a scroll of fireball. Don't give the rogue a scroll of fireball. But that sort of thing. Like, so somebody that can't normally cast spells but have the ability to use magic devices such as scrolls or wands, stuff like that. Wizards can only cast 3 0-level cantrips and 1 first-level spell, apart from bonus spells, at first level per day, and they have to be prepared in advance. Now, wizards don't have a limit to spells they can know. As long as it's in their spell book, they can prepare the spell, as long as they're high enough level for that spell. When it comes to abilities, intelligence will be your main one, because that affects your wizard's spells, because as I stated, they are academics. And then again, dexterity and constitution for the same reasons. So the skills a wizard has are concentration, craft, decipher script, knowledge, but you have access to all knowledges, but you do need to take them individually. Profession and spellcraft. So again, like I said, the wizard is more academic than the sorcerer. The spells, as I stated, as long as it's in their spell book, they're good to go. And wizards can take, an hour, not an hour. That's to prepare. So once we go to the spells area, there's a section on preparing, like copying spells into your spell book, which we will cover at that time. All right. So that makes up the difference between the two of them. Oh, weapons. So as I keep stating, the wizard is more of an academic than the sorcerer. So their weapons, they're proficient in the club, dagger, heavy crossbow, light crossbow, and quarterstaff, as opposed to all simple weapons. So that limits their combat prowess, but again, they shouldn't be seeing combat. So that's the Sorcerer and Wizard first level classes. Stay tuned for, well, I don't have a favorite spellcaster that I have created because I've only made one of the Sorcerer and Wizard classes, and it didn't go well. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Alright, so I believe I've discussed this before, but my least favorite and only sorcerer I have made died in the first 5 minutes of the game. It was horrible. Like I said, I've explained it though, so I guess that covers that. So thank you for joining me for the Sorcerer and Wizard of the 3.5 edition Dungeons and Dragons. That covers our basic classes. So next video we'll be covering skills, so I'll be going through the skills list and going into detail on them. So as always, you should be getting a subscribe button up here, latest video on the channel over here, video recommended for you by YouTube over here, and down here is going to be a playlist of Dungeons and Dragons tutorials. Thank you for joining me, and as always, have a peaceful day. Bye.